Why the oldest stories of the Great Pyramid are wrong. The Great Pyramid of Giza is widely acknowledged as an iconic marvel that continues to mesmerize and astonish people globally. Its enduring appeal and ability to captivate have garnered widespread recognition among enthusiasts worldwide. Initially renowned mainly within the Middle East for about 2 millennia, its remarkable accomplishments gained widespread recognition when travelers from Greece and Italy documented the magnificent splendor they encountered. Despite the grandeur and size of the Giza pyramids, only a limited number of ancient written records about them have survived. These texts are exceptionally valuable as they offer insights into the appearance and functionality of the pyramids before they underwent damage and the removal of their casing stones. The surviving accounts originate from 4 authors predating Egypt's medieval era: Herodotus in 430 BC, Diodorus Siculus in 60 BC, Strabo in 24 BC, and Pliny the Elder in 2080. These authors provide detailed information that suggests first-hand visits to Giza to acquire such knowledge, although some details may have been borrowed from earlier accounts. Different historians used various methods to measure the Great Pyramid's original side and length. Herodotus stated it to be 800 feet, Diodorus Siculus mentioned 700 feet, and Pliny recorded 883 feet. The slight discrepancy between Herodotus and Diodorus could be attributed to variations in their respective measuring systems and rounding to the nearest hundred. Flint Petrie noted that Pliny, who provided the most precise measurement, might have used a foot measurement of 10.27 inches, which is exactly half of the shorter measurement unit. Among the trustworthy records provided by these ancient chronicles, there are also imaginative tales. One such example is Herodotus' infamous claim about the pharaoh Khufu, who compelled his own daughter to engage in prostitution to finance the construction of the Great Pyramid. According to Herodotus, she received payment in stones from her clients, which were then used to build her own smaller pyramid adjacent to it. It can be difficult to distinguish between embellished tales passed down through the generations as folklore and factual accounts from ancient authors' information. While these chronicles contain numerous intriguing details, this video will specifically concentrate on a shared element found in all 4 historical records: a significant inquiry arising from the examination of all 4 ancient authors is the absence of any mention of the upper chamber system within the Great Pyramid. The remarkable features of the towering Grand Gallery and the granite King's Chamber, particularly its flat ceiling, are awe-inspiring. It seems logical that if these elements were witnessed, they would have been documented by the authors. The absence of any mention of the upper chambers in the writings of these ancient authors led scholars to believe that these chambers remained undiscovered until 832 AD, when Caliph al-Ma'mun claimed to have created a tunnel and described the upper chamber system. However, experts well versed in this subject generally agree that it is highly unlikely for the upper chambers of the Great Pyramid to have remained untouched by looters for over 3,000 years. Therefore, an alternative explanation is needed to understand this discrepancy. Even as far back as 1837, Howard Weiss acknowledged the uncertainty surrounding the initial violation of the upper chambers, stating that it was unlikely to be definitively determined. Caliph al-Ma'mun is believed to have extensively explored them all. However, due to the challenging circumstances faced by travelers, including the formidable hostility of the Arabs and the significant labor and time required for a thorough examination, few had the opportunity to meticulously study these chambers. While this explanation seems reasonable, it still fails to account for why ancient writers completely overlook the grand upper chambers if the pyramid had been fully opened. Additionally, the absence of graffiti from contemporary travelers from the Greek and Roman empires raises further questions. Examining the absence of accounts from the 4 ancient authors within the context of their respective descriptions is a crucial starting point. Herodotus, being the earliest recorded author and renowned as the father of history, would have undoubtedly influenced subsequent visitors. Even the esteemed explorers of the 19th century who ventured to the Great Pyramid drew inspiration from his writings. Analyzing the descriptions of the ancient authors, Herodotus mentions a subterranean chamber inside the hill on which the pyramid stands, but his account is peculiar. He describes an island created by introducing a canal from the Nile within the chamber. It is plausible to imagine that the unexcavated rock may have been embellished as an island in the context of a dead-end tunnel, interpreted as drawing water from the Nile. However, this reconstruction is a speculative theory from ancient times, and not how someone describing the actual space would portray it without being influenced by such tales. This raises the possibility that either Herodotus never actually entered the Great Pyramid, or he merely relayed the local guide's tales about its interior. On the other hand, Diodorus Siculus, who provides precise descriptions of Giza, does not mention the pyramid's interior at all. Although he accurately counts the granite courses at the Pyramid of Menkaure, it is unfortunate that he did not venture inside. Throughout history, very few visitors had the courage to explore the pyramid interiors before the modern era. Strabo writes about a movable stone at the pyramid entrance, stating that it opens to a sloping passage leading to a vault. This implies that Strabo at least reached the entrance of the pyramid and potentially went inside to document the descending corridor and subterranean chamber. Pliny the Elder, on the other hand, provides an intriguing detail. He mentions a well within the Great Pyramid, measuring 86 cubits deep, which is believed to have been connected to the river. The vertical tunnel connecting the bottom of the descending corridor to the Grand Gallery is commonly referred to as the Good Shaft, possibly because Pliny used that term in his account. Measuring the complete well shaft today yields a length of approximately 128 cubits. However, these measurements do not utilize the shorter form of the cubit that Petrie suggested Pliny may have used to measure the pyramid's length. The unanswered question remains: if Pliny was aware of the good shaft, how could he completely omit the upper chambers to which the good shaft leads? Furthermore, considering the perspective of observing the good shaft from the bottom, it is puzzling how one could believe that the river was let in through it. Unfortunately, these questions remain unanswered, and it would take another 800 years until we receive a detailed description of the Great Pyramid's interior as conveyed by Al-Mamun when he claimed the Robber's Tunnel as his own creation. After Al-Mamun made the upper pyramid chambers more accessible, an interesting development occurred. The descending corridor and subterranean chamber gradually became obstructed with debris. This was not immediately evident, as Abdel Latif al-Baghdadi's description of the pyramid around the year 1200 suggests that they were still accessible. However, in the late 1500s, when European explorers began documenting the Great Pyramid, the lower section became inaccessible. The obstruction occurred just below the robber's excavation, near the junction of the descending corridor and the ascending passage. In 1565, Christoph Führer managed to climb the entire well shaft and reach the subterranean chamber. However, by 1588, the underground chamber could no longer be accessed. Samuel Caselli, the same year, could only barely access the good shaft and climb up it. By 1591, Prospero Alpini appears to be unaware of the underground chamber's existence, and by 1611, François Savary de Breve confirms that the descending corridor is completely blocked, preventing access to the upper chambers. Subsequent visitors to the Great Pyramid remained unaware of the existence of the underground chamber unless they were familiar with ancient accounts that described it. The underground section remained blocked until 1817, when Captain Giovanni Caviglia excavated and rediscovered the bottom of the good shaft in the subterranean chamber. Inside the chamber, Caviglia found a few Roman characters crudely drawn on the ceiling using a candle flame. Unfortunately, the erosion of the rock made the characters nearly illegible, preventing the deciphering of any message. The discovery in 1817 could have marked the end of the story of hidden chambers within the Great Pyramid. However, history often repeats itself, and recognizing patterns can lead us to uncover truths that would otherwise remain unanswered. British astronomer Charles Piazzi Smith visited the Great Pyramid in January 1865 and became enamored with it. He meticulously documented his experiences exploring and measuring the monument, providing significant testimony to consider. In his book, Life and Work at the Great Pyramid, Volume 1, Charles Piazzi Smith recounts his encounter with a local guide named Ali Dobry, who offered to accompany him inside the pyramid. Smith had extensively studied the writings of previous explorers such as Caviglia and Vici, which provided him with a comprehensive understanding of the pyramid's layout. Smith found it intriguing that sand was blocking the descending corridor right where it should have opened to the excavation leading to the upper chambers during their exploration. In his book, Smith describes the conversation that took place between him and Ali at that moment. Ali pointed towards a large, cavernous-looking hole that opened sideways from the west wall of the entrance passage, just above the unusual sandbank. "Yes, I see it," was the response. "If you mean the way up to the first ascending passage, for that is Caliph Al-Mamun's hole, and just where it should be. But stop here for a moment, if you please. O Ali, who knows more than any other pyramid guide, and explain the meaning of this great bank of sand blocking up the lower part of the entrance passage beyond this point, preventing access to the subterranean chamber." Ali replied, "It means exactly what you said. That's all it is, for no one can go beyond the sand. But if they want to see the king's chamber, sarcophagus, and everything else that travelers come to visit, they must turn off here into Al-Mamun's hole and go up, as I told you. As for who brought the sand into the passage, well, let's not dwell on that. It would take too long to go through the subterranean passage, along with the upper galleries and chambers if the travelers wanted to explore the pyramid quickly. They didn't have the strength for it either," he said. "So it was for the travelers' own good that the Arabs had to completely block the passage and show that there was no empty space beyond. The travelers were persistent in asking where that hole led and insisted on being taken there, but no tourist ever saw or specifically asked to be shown the subterranean chamber at the bottom of the entrance passage we were asking about. How can travelers know about a chamber if they don't see it?" he emphasized. He continued, "And if they don't know it exists, how can they desire to see it? Maybe there used to be travelers who knew everything about the pyramid, but things have changed. Nowadays, only a very few travelers actually go inside the pyramid. Since they pay the same as their friends who only explore the exterior, the poor Arabs can't afford to let them know about the numerous chambers and passages. It wouldn't be ideal to let travelers spend too much time inside the pyramid. It's fine outside if they enjoy it, but inside is a different story." This conversation sheds light on why ancient Greek and Roman travelers might have overlooked the upper chamber system. It wasn't due to the chambers remaining undiscovered or the 26th dynasty renovations perfectly concealing the access points for centuries until Al-Mamun's visit in 832 AD. The most plausible explanation is that local guides in ancient times deliberately blocked the openings to the upper chambers and discouraged visitors from inquiring about them. This was because taking visitors inside the pyramid was an unpleasant and somewhat risky task, and the guides wanted to make the trip as efficient and profitable as possible. In ancient times, foreigners had no knowledge of the existence of the upper chamber system since there were no writings or records about it. This allowed the locals to deceive visitors by pretending that such spaces didn't exist, and most visitors were content with only exploring the subterranean chamber. The decision to hide the upper chambers instead of the underground space was likely due to the upper chambers being more hazardous, time-consuming, and unpleasant due to factors like bats and trapped moisture. During the 16th century, with the increasing influx of European tourists to Giza, the remarkable upper chambers of the Great Pyramid became widely known and sought after. This rendered it impossible for the local guides to continue pretending that these chambers didn't exist. Consequently, they devised a new strategy to expedite the tours by blocking the descending corridor just before reaching the entrance to the ascending passage. By doing so, they ensured that the visits would be brief and convenient for both the guides and the tourists. The accounts of other authors further support Charles Piazzi Smith's narrative about the Great Pyramid. One such author is Jean Carlier de Pignon, a French visitor who documented his experiences in 1579. Carlier de Pignon confirms Smith's description and reveals an additional detail. He explains that the guides who accompanied visitors intentionally threw large stones into the pyramid's entrance as soon as the visitors left. This deliberate obstruction served as a means to extract money from the visitors, who would then have to pay for the stones to be removed in order to gain access to the pyramid. This practice of obstructing the well shaft and the underground section of the descending corridor is prevalent during this particular period. By employing these tactics, the guides aim to maximize their profits while minimizing the time and effort required to conduct the tours. This pattern of controlling access to the Great Pyramid for financial gain has been a consistent feature throughout its history, reflecting the universal human inclination to optimize efficiency and convenience. In the late 16th century, Prospero Alpini made a significant discovery regarding the well shaft of the Great Pyramid. He found it obstructed by small debris below the grotto. This observation was later confirmed by John Graves in 1639, who noted that the well shaft was plugged approximately 7 meters from the upper opening. In 1763, Nathaniel Davison provided further evidence by confirming the presence of a large granite block obstructing the upper part of the well shaft. Initially, the purpose behind placing such a heavy block in the good shaft seemed puzzling considering the effort required. However, when we consider the efforts to control access to the lower sections of the pyramid, the motive becomes clearer. It is likely that the local guides, who found taking visitors into the good shaft an unpleasant task, decided to seal it off to serve their own interest. This sheds light on the underlying motive behind blocking the well shaft. The repeated patterns seen at the Great Pyramid are evidence that humans share the pursuit of efficiency as a trait. Even in the 20th century, entering the Great Pyramid remained a daunting prospect. Researchers John and Morton Edgar, in their 1910 findings, reported that many visitors hesitated to proceed further upon reaching the lower end of the Grand Gallery. 3 consistent patterns and behaviors demonstrate how human nature and the desire for convenience have influenced access to and exploration of the Great Pyramid throughout history. Throughout history, the concept of history itself was still in its early stages, and therefore, we must rely on studying patterns of human behavior to gain insights into the past. When it comes to the Great Pyramid, there is a consistent trend towards controlling tourist access for the sake of financial gain. This pattern has persisted over the years and can still be observed today. Although famous ancient authors like Herodotus, Diodorus, Strabo, and Pliny the Elder never had the opportunity to explore the upper chambers of the Great Pyramid, it is highly probable that other individuals did. Regrettably, the accounts and markings left by these explorers have been lost to time. Nevertheless, it is important to note that the Great Pyramid was not designed to completely conceal its chambers. As a result, curious individuals have been finding their way inside the pyramid since the decline of the Old Kingdom. Thank you for watching this video till the end. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.